We want to stay on the topic, though, of what's going on with our federal government at the moment. Over the weekend, we had been reporting, and really just days leading into the weekend, that this week, Pete Hegseth, Defense Secretary, is scheduled to bring in hundreds of military leaders to have a presentation, according to ABC News, on warrior ethos. Okay, so it's being called a very rare moment that they're going to be called up to Virginia and Quantico to have this discussion at the moment, which he has not officially put out a statement exactly what he was going to be discussing. But joining us right now to talk about this taking place and what it could mean and what could potentially come out of it, we have with us here right now. Oh, okay. We're working on one quick thing with our audio at the moment. I'm just hearing from Sarah telling us that. But we're bringing on with us at the moment Colonel William Dunn to speak on this, and hopefully he can hear us now. Okay, we just needed to close out an audio from a hearing that we had at the moment, making sure that he can hear us at the moment. But Colonel Dunn's going to come onto the broadcast here in just a few moments. We're going to talk about this situation that a lot of people are looking at again and saying that it is a rare occurrence. Over 800 U.S. generals and admirals from around the world coming into Virginia to have a discussion with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. So let's see here if he can hear us right now. Colonel Dunn, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear. How about me?
I can hear you just fine. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your expertise. So first I want to ask you this. You know, I heard from Vice President J.D. Vance in a press briefing recently. He said, I don't know why the media is making a big deal out of this. Is this something that is rare, and is it something that we really should be focusing our attention on?
Well, it's definitely rare to bring everybody in from all over the world to show up at one place. Definitely rare. In my time, I spent 33 years in the Marine Corps. I have never seen that done. I've seen smaller groups get together, things called executive offsite, something like that. So, but this is definitely rare. That said, not a big deal in my mind. You've got the President of the United States, who we hear may be attending this event. It gives him an opportunity to sit down with all of his leaders, his military leaders, both some general officers, flag officers, as well as some senior enlisted, and maybe pass some of his intent. It also gives the SecDef, the Secretary of War, I should say, an opportunity to sit down, probably for the first time, with all of his flag officers. So I don't think it's a big deal. I believe this will be talking about the warrior ethos. It'll be talking about some current events that are coming up, and it may also talk about getting the intent, an additional intent from the Secretary of War directly out of his mouth to his men and women that are supporting this nation.
Yeah, interesting to hear you say, obviously it's a rare circumstance that's taking place, but not necessarily a big deal. When you're talking about the warrior ethos, you know, we've seen reporting about what that means for Hegseth. If you were to place yourself in the position of one of these, you know, senior U.S. generals who are going, what are some of the things that you might be hoping to hear? Or is that the way you would maybe approach that conversation? Would there be things that you're hoping to hear if you're going into this as one of these generals and admirals?
Well, that's a great question. And what I would expect to hear, not hope. We always say in the military, hope is not a course of action, but what I would expect to hear is our Secretary of War remind us that the mothers and fathers whose sons and daughters and husbands and brothers and sisters that serve in our military deserve the absolute very best leadership. They deserve the best meritocracy at every position, and they deserve leaders that are going to put their men and women that are serving this nation first and foremost above any political or any would say careerism aspirations. But our fathers and mothers of this country should demand that only the best men and women are leading their sons and daughters. And I would, I don't want to use the word hope, right? I would expect that's what this is going to be about.
Now, I have a question about getting all of those leaders in one space. And from a safety standpoint, obviously we talked about this being unprecedented and for all of them to be in one space. What kind of safety protocols go into effect when you bring everybody together like this?
In reality, there should be no additional safety precautions than we already take. Quantico Marine Base, I'm literally sitting probably less than 3 miles outside Quantico Marine Base right now, and it's a very secure base. I'm sure they will beef up some extra security, but the reality is we should be able to protect our own military anywhere in the world, to include in our own country. So they will take extra precautions, but I seriously doubt that there's any additional risk being placed on our leaders.
Would there be any concerns of removing them from their current bases and where they are?
No, there shouldn't be. Every leader, regardless of their position, has got to train their replacement. That's one of the ethos that's taught in the military. So if you're the CO, the commanding officer, your XO or your second in command, or an appointed individual, if you don't particularly have an XO, will be ready to take over and take charge if something happens. For instance, say they were to get stuck here due to transportation issues, they'll have communications capability. And I don't think anything's at risk, anything's in danger. I would bet that every one of these leaders have given their intent to their subordinates just in case there's a delay or anything going on that causes them not to get back rapidly.
And you kind of already signaled and answered this, but I know when the reports were first coming out that all of these leaders were being called into one place, there was thoughts that, okay, are we potentially preparing for some kind of military action or any of that nature? From your estimation, from what you're hearing, you're not necessarily thinking that this is what that would be about. This is more about a message to be sent and shared with the leaders of the military.
I don't suspect that. If there was an imminent military action going to take place, probably the last thing they would do is bring everybody in. But I wouldn't rule anything out. I just don't suspect that's the issue. I think it's face to face with President Trump if he is able to attend, and face to face with Secretary of War. And, I wouldn't read too much into it other than that.
Again, Colonel, what else would you, just anything else that you're gauging from this that in your expertise you would maybe want people to consider as we are waiting to hear potentially what comes out of this large gathering? Again, those hundreds of senior U.S. generals and admirals being called into Virginia. What else would you want for people to kind of consider when this is taking place?
I guess the biggest thing I would want them to consider is your DOD, your government, our military, our Department of War, if you will, is ready to fight to protect this nation. Whether it's, we take an oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And every one of these leaders have taken that same oath, every one. And so what I would like the American people to understand is that the men and women that are in charge and entrusted with protecting us are doing a great job. Their families are doing a hard mission, and they are focused on protecting this nation wherever the fight may be. Bringing everybody in for a short period of time should have no impact on our security. And if anything, when they go back, it'll give them a clear intent of Secretary Hegseth's intent. And then if President Trump wants to add anything into that, or he puts his intent out, they're going to be getting it directly from the horse's mouth, so to speak. But I see no issue. If something transpires after this that's significant, they'll be ready and willing and able to take the fight to the enemy wherever it is.
Yeah, I mean, you have to also consider, all the reports that shows, this administration really has been trying to put its imprint on a military with several different changes. And so, as you said, this is an opportunity to get all the leaders who I would imagine would disseminate that information to the others in one room so everybody can hopefully be on the same page with that. We certainly do appreciate you carving out the time and talking with us and giving us insight here on what we can possibly expect with this meeting. Again, we have with us here Colonel William Dunn. Thank you so much, sir, for your service, and then also for just taking the time and speaking with us and sharing your thoughts and your expertise on the matter. We appreciate you.
Well, hey, thanks for having me. You have a wonderful week.
Right. We're going to have you back at some point. Got to have you back.
Well, thank
appreciate
you.
you. Have
Hopefully
a great
it'll be good news.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. Have a good rest of your morning, sir. We appreciate you. Okay, and you
Yes, sir.
just
Thank
heard
you.
it from him, right? We're again expecting to hopefully learn what could come out of this meeting, but so far it's been pretty mum from the official word on what they're going to be discussing. But we're hearing that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is going to be delivering a message on restoring the warrior ethos, something that he's been speaking out about and since he's gotten into that role at the moment. So we'll see. We'll see. We have over 800 senior U.S. generals and admirals who will be going to that Marine base at Quantico, Virginia this week. And ABC reporting that that meeting could last all of just 30 minutes. So we'll stay on that as well.